Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. I'm Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson.
And I'm Shannon Penrod.
Hi, friend.
I was just saying to her, doesn't she look stunning in this beautiful purple color? I hope it's
thank
reading
you.
on the camera. You look gorgeous.
Thank you.
It's fabulous. I'm very excited to be here this morning.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here with you.
We've got a big show. And I have touch points here on the desk with me, and we're going to be talking about that with Dr. Amy Sarin in just a little while. But and then we're going to talk about Archie Comics, which is how often do we get to talk about Archie Comics? It's a good day at Let's Talk Autism.
And we have some in the news here.
Yes.
Starting with a story that's disturbing about mothers, and this is from the Daily Mail in the UK.
Yeah.
Many mothers speaking out about claiming that a poisonous epilepsy drug has left their children with autism, learning disabilities, incontinence, all kinds of issues that they were not warned about. The drug is called sodium valproate.
Yeah. And data has revealed that the drug raises the risk of babies suffering serious developmental disorders up to 40%, and malformations such as cleft palates or lips by 11% if taken during pregnancy.
Yeah, apparently there's a syndrome that they have different facial features, like they don't develop the bridge of their nose. And
it's such a scary time in the world for various and sundry reasons, but for pregnant women, it can be a really difficult thing. We do a lot on the show talking about P2I, and there's a lot of information that's out there if parents are interested before you get pregnant, during pregnancy, and right after pregnancy. I think a lot of times when we go to our regular GP and they say a medicine is okay, I know there were lots of medicines.
Excuse me.
There were lots of medicines that I was prescribed when I was pregnant, and I was the most paranoid puss. I still am. But there were so many things that were prescribed for me when I was pregnant that I was like, I'm not taking that. What are you kidding me? And a lot of people are much more trusting. But I always remember the thalidomide babies. I'm sure that you do too. Moms who were told, you're having miscarriages, take thalidomide, and they were taking thalidomide for something else, I think too. And then they had children that
morning
were born.
Sickness.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
And then there was DES that has caused problems. You have to be really careful. We really want to encourage all moms that are pregnant or about to be pregnant, ask questions. Ask, does it cross the blood-brain barrier? And you have to make decisions about whether you trust the information that you're getting. But devastating for these moms.
Yeah, they really weren't warned about the possibilities with this until much later than it was sort of hidden from them.
And devastating later on. You and I both know with autism, there's a certain amount of guilt about, was it something I did?
Right.
Was it something I didn't do? And that it really doesn't matter if you, birthed a child or not. That goes across everyone, right? And so then when you find out something like this, that it's, oh my goodness.
And a lot of these mothers say they blame themselves.
Of course. Of course that's what they're feeling. We want to say to them, it's not your fault. It is not your fault at all. But devastating to find out that something you took has resulted in this and that people had the information and sat on it. Devastating, absolutely devastating. In any case, check what you're taking now. Hopefully we can prevent somebody else from feeling this way. We also have, everybody's talking about this new 2-minute questionnaire that may detect autism.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying to you, I don't know whether they just changed one little part of it, but this has been around for more than 12 years.
Okay.
Because I remember after my son was diagnosed saying, wasn't there supposed to be some way that we were supposed to catch this?
Right.
And I think it was called the CARS assessment, that every pediatrician was supposed to do with 2-year-olds. And when I went, because I had switched pediatricians, so when I went back to the original pediatrician who had not been around my child when he turned 2, and I said he's been diagnosed with autism, and he said, really? Because he had seen him when he was a year. He was like, really? And he said, well, let's do the assessment. And I remember him saying, because the first one is, does your child point or gesture to show interest or to get attention? And I remember the doctor asking him something and saying, do you know where the light is? Can you point to the light? And of course, my kid was, and couldn't, right? So that's the first one on the list. The second one, does your child have an unusual or variable response to sound, seems not to hear, or is oversensitive or overreacts to noise? Like, wouldn't we have answered yes to these questions? Number 3 is, does your child smile or make regular eye contact with others? And all of these you answer yes, no, or sometimes. Number 4 is responds to name when called, which when Jem descended into autism, that went away.
Wyatt never responded to his name either.
Really?
Right.
Number 5, your child shows interest in children at play. Number 6 is, does your child enjoy doing handshakes or peekaboo?
Right.
Mine would have been no. 7, your child relates to others by babbling, gesturing, talking, or changing expressions. Now, my child would do that with inanimate objects, but not with me. Number 8, uses 3 or more words regularly or appropriately. See, I would have said no to this. 9, speaks in phrases, for example, want juice, go bye-bye.
Right.
And so it's yes, no, and sometimes are the answers. And number 10, laughs when others laugh. And I would have said no to that.
I would have said no to that too,
And
depending on the age that Wyatt was at. I think at age 2, I would have said no to that. At age 1, I would have said yes.
Exactly, me too. So then the doctor is supposed to look at them and see which ones, because there are certain ones that you should say no to, and certain ones that you should say yes to, and can quickly say your child needs
at risk and needs further testing, right?
Needs further, but immediately needs to be, it's that child find of this child is definitely at risk, and we can start services. So they're saying that this assessment should be done 18 to 36 months, that age range. But the test that we were supposed to get was supposed to be right at their 2nd birthday.
Right.
Now, if you guys remember from watching the show, we covered a couple of months ago that the people who give the standards to people about what appropriate tests are decided that all kids don't need to have a screening for autism.
Right.
So it becomes us, the parents, we need to advocate. And I know that all of you are out there and have a girlfriend that has a child and that at some point has said, how would I know? Don't wait until they're worried. You can send them this. It's in the Sun right now, the actual assessment in the Sun. You can look at it online, 2-minute autism questionnaire, and you can find it in the Sun. And tell them, oh, there's this assessment, and you can do it. You can take it to the pediatrician and make them do it. And ask them, did you do it?
Right.
Did you do it? You
Right.
passed it. Yay!
Right.
But we need to take the reins here.
Right.
And
Because
make
the
sure that
pediatrician
kids-
might not.
No, well,
do
they've
it,
been
so
told that it isn't necessary.
it's not necessary.
Which
right.
makes
And
me want to
certainly
run
my
screaming
pediatrician
around the
didn't-
building with my hair on fire.
Certainly my pediatrician didn't do a test like this. or
No,
even
my pediatrician told me I was crazy.
Yeah, so did mine.
So, and then I had to go back to the old pediatrician who went, oh, okay, not crazy. Okay,
There's a
another
breakthrough drug.
Yes, that's the other story.
The FDA creates, they grant breakthrough therapy status, which apparently is a big deal to be given this status to help expedite what could be the first drug to treat the core symptoms of autism. Swiss drug maker Roche said this week that the FDA has granted breakthrough therapy designation for the development of, I'm going to try and say this, balovaptan, a medication with potential to improve core social interaction and communication in those with autism. It's already been used in a study on adults, and they've had clinical trials with adults, and now they're looking to look at clinical trials with children and adolescents on the spectrum.
And
another one's on the way.
And at this point in time, we should be clear about the fact that there are only 2 drugs that are usually prescribed with an autism diagnosis, and they're not widely prescribed, but people are getting risperidone.
Right.
And then the other one, apropozole, I've never heard of anybody getting that, but apparently that's something that gets diagnosed.
But that's to treat irritability and
they're not really something, there are lots of side effects.
Right.
So they're not widely advised, and it's not like you get a big social
no, you don't.
benefit from it. So this is pretty interesting that it's been fast tracked as a drug that that they're going to try to move quickly to get it approved, targeting an increase in social skills.
Right.
You haven't seen that before.
No, we have
Should be
not.
Interesting. Okay, so in any case, and if you want more about that story, you can go to disabilityscoop.com. They have a wonderful site there with lots of good information. I guarantee you'll find other stories that you want to sit and read. You'll go down the rabbit hole. We've got two guests on the show today.
Yes, we do.
Dr. Amy Saren is going to be with us to talk about touch points. I've got them right here on the desk, charging. Some technology to help reduce anxiety
and stress.
in all kinds of people,
not just those with
including
autism.
Children and adults on the autism spectrum. So we're going to talk about that. And then later on in the show, we have Nancy Silberkleit from Archie Comics. There's a new character in the Archie Comics. And guess where she's at on the spectrum. So we're going to talk about that with her. So stick with us. We're going to be back after these messages.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Lisa Ackerman with TACA. We're here with the TACA Facts, the most common questions in the autism journey, real life questions and answers for your family. Oh boy, this one gets me in trouble. I get this question probably at least a dozen times a week, but how do I get my significant other on board? Whether it's having ABA done in your home, 5 days a week, speech therapy, or even biomedical intervention. I'm talking to you as a parent. It happened to me in the autism journey 3 years after diagnosis. I felt like I'd been through a war zone. I don't have pictures. I don't remember those 3 years. It was awful, and I'm surprised my husband and I made it out of that war zone. So here's some of the tips that helped me get through those 3 years and made it a better marriage, because he's the one I want to be with. First thing you need to do, and this goes for dudes and chicks, replace all the bathroom reading material. Now, whether you just had an independent evaluation with a neuropsychologist, or you just went to your doctor, your MAPS doctor, to help your child get through some serious medical issues, replace the labs, replace the neuropsych eval, and put that all in the bathroom. That's where we do our best reading and thinking, after all. It's one of the most simplistic things that you can do, but literally replace all the bathroom reading material. 2, very important that twice a year you have a meeting and you schedule it with your spouse to say, we're going to do the next 6 months of planning, whether it's just create a quick list, identify the issues or the self-stimulatory behavior or the things that you need to do to help your child with autism make the project. Let me give you an example. We created the Man Project. My son was becoming a teenager, and we found ourselves living a little bit in a rut, babying him a little too much. So what we did was we created a Man Project, and we identified a list of the skills and the things that we wanted my son or our son to learn. We agreed to it, and then we came up with a plan that we could activate over the next 6 months. And my next favorite. Don't forget to have sex with your spouse. Often you will feel disconnected with the person that you love. And if you're not connected with them, you're not connected with them in that way. You're not connecting with them in your autism journey. So my husband laughs, he calls me Dr. Ruth, so I'm giving you a coupon to please just go have sex with your spouse. That will help move things along, but also make it a little more cohesive in a house of chaos, living with autism. So hi, this is Lisa signing out as Dr. Ruth. No, I'm just kidding. Lisa Ackerman with TACA, and we'll talk to you at the next TACA Facts.
And welcome back to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. We are now joined by neuropsychologist Dr. Amy Saren, who practices medicine at her clinic in Arizona, the Saren Center. And she is, along with child advocate Vicki Mayo, founded the Touchpoint Solution in 2015 with the mission of bringing relief to millions of people who suffer from stress and anxiety, and that includes those on the autism spectrum. Welcome to the show, Dr. Saren.
Thank you so much for having me, ladies.
We're
Yes.
so thrilled to have you. And I've got the touch points here in my hands, and I've got the app open on my phone. So I'm going to be playing a little bit with these, but let's start by. So I want to show these again to everybody. They're little fabulous things, and I have wristbands that can go with them as well, and clips so that I can put them in my pockets or on the side of my pants. But maybe Dr. Saren, you could tell us what these are and what they do.
Yeah, so touch points are neuroscience wearables that incorporate a technology called BLAST, bilateral alternating stimulation. This is a non-invasive technology using haptic microvibrations, and it seems to give people a huge relief in stress in as little as 30 seconds. Why this is important for individuals on the autism spectrum is that usually the sensory inputs cannot be tolerated by their brains. In other words, normal sensory input like sights and sounds and seeing people move in front of you can be tolerated by most people. But in individuals with autism, that creates a nervous system reactivity and puts them into fight or flight. The touch points seem to help them not go into fight or flight as often, and they can then tolerate the environments in the classrooms or at the mall. We even have families that are now taking their children to Disneyland, and it's really, really been a great journey in seeing what touch points can do for this population.
How did you develop these?
I'm a neuropsychologist and I also do therapy. I'm actually an EMDR trained therapist, and EMDR seems to be very successful in treating conditions like PTSD and trauma because it has bilateral stimulation. And I thought, well, what if we took the bilateral stimulation and just used that as a standalone? And as I started researching this effects on the brain and realizing this could be used outside of the therapeutic context, I had these aha moments and I started improving the waveform and improving the technology, and now we're where we are today, and it's just incredible.
Shannon, are you able to?
Okay, so while you guys were talking, I just took a challenge, and it was kind of amazing.
Okay.
It really. So I got these in my hands. I don't know what I was. You know what I was expecting? When I was a waitress, we used to have beepers that buzz.
Right.
And that's kind of what I was expecting, and it was much less than that. But what was fascinating, it asked me to think of something really stressful, and I had a really stressful morning. Really stressful morning. It asked me to rate how stressful the event was, to think of an event that was stressful, and then to kind of put myself in the moment. And since I'm still half there, it was very easy for me to get in the moment. And then it asked me to, if I was feeling any symptoms of the stress, to tell them how much in rating on a 1 to 10 scale, and then to start. And I felt this immediate, it's hard to say, but like a cooling.
Okay.
Like I immediately felt better.
Was there a vibration?
Like the teeniest, tiniest little tingle.
Okay.
Was I supposed to feel more than that?
Not necessarily. I mean, the settings that we start people out on are quite gentle, and it can get a little more intense if you turn up the intensity. There's multiple settings on these. But no, it doesn't need to be that drastic in order to override your stress response. And what you just experienced is typical. We get on average a 70% stress reduction in 30 seconds. And I'm so glad you did that live, because I love people are always shocked, like, we hope this worked, but then when you really feel it inside of yourself, you can't deny that it has a profound effect and that it's really that quick.
It was stunning, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it was instantly a rearranging of how I felt.
Okay.
That's fascinating.
You said there was a questionnaire. How is this used with children? Since there has to be a questionnaire answer?
Well, that was just for a challenge.
Oh, okay.
So I would imagine you wouldn't have to do a challenge with a child. Is that correct?
No, you don't have to do the challenge of the child. If you have the app version, our originals, what it prompts you to do the touch point challenge, and that's just to demonstrate exactly what you experienced. but you can just turn them on and have them running without doing that. So when you're working with the population of children with autism, it actually is good to start out at a very low setting, very slow and not very intense, because some of them are very sensory reactive. And if you turn it up too much, it's kind of like going into a loud movie theater and wanting to run out the other direction before you wait for your hearing to kind of adjust to the new sound level. So we want to introduce it to kids on the spectrum and some of the lower frequencies, and then they'll get used to that sensation, and it'll be calming them down in real time. Most children on the spectrum actually wear touch points all day at school, and this is why we've designed the battery life to last between 6 and 10 hours on one charge.
All right, they wear them on their wrist, or how do they wear them?
They can wear them on their wrists, so I've got mine on my wrist right now. You can actually put them in pockets or socks. You can put them in tank top straps, and we now have on our website sweatbands with zippers. So there's just a little more protection in there, and a lot of the kids on the spectrum really like that. Some of them were not liking the sensation of the wristbands, but they do like the cloth on the actual sweatbands that are on our website, and so that's another way to use them.
Okay.
It's fascinating. Do you
Yeah.
want to play? Do you
Yeah,
want to?
sure.
Because you can hold them in your hands, and I love that on your app it says to let you know how we. So just you have to.
So-
the key is that you have to hold. They have to be on both sides of the body. Does not work. So just hold them in your hands.
Okay.
And I'm gonna start it and see if you feel anything.
Can you think of something stressful first
Okay.
and rate it on a scale of 0 to 10?
Okay.
You don't have to tell us what it is.
Okay.
Got it in your mind?
Okay, you do.
Great. And how stressful does that feel now on a scale of 0 to 10 right now?
It's not on yet.
It's not on yet.
We're getting
not
you
on
into
yet.
a
I'm just
state of
getting
being
your
stressed.
Okay. Okay. You're getting my baseline.
Yes.
Okay.
So are you? What would you
there's a-
say? Are you
there's
pretty? Are you feeling stress symptoms at the
If
moment?
I think about something, I can get to a 10 on it.
Are you
Okay,
feeling it
great.
right
I
now?
mean, not great that it's 10.
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
My Bluetooth is
where do
being
you feel it in
funny.
your?
But go ahead, Dr. Saren, talk to her.
Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay. Where do you feel it in your body when you think of that stressful situation that you were thinking of?
I feel it throughout my whole body.
Okay. And so notice that, and then she can turn those on for you.
My
And here's the
my
thing.
Bluetooth is having a hard time in the studio. It worked before, but let me see if I can get it to look at them and see if they're green.
She has
I might
to,
have
yeah,
just
turn
had
them
enough
both on.
charge. I might have had just enough charge for mine. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't
color.
think it's going to do it for us
Okay.
because I didn't get them charged enough. That's okay.
Well, we can do that another time.
We will play with
we
these.
also
We are going to be playing, yes.
And we have basics also. The basic version does not run on the app. It's just the 2 contained units. And a lot of times for children in the classrooms, that is a little bit more convenient because they don't have to have an external control for that. But for the kids who are really sensory sensitive, who want a lot of customized settings, then the version that you have, the originals, seem to be their favorite.
Very
Okay.
cool. Very interesting technology. So for parents that are watching this, I also love too, when I was setting up the app, it asked me some questions about my stress and it gave me some recommendations of presets that I might want to try, that I might want to set it on a certain setting when I'm first waking up in the morning, that when I'm having a stressful moment, that I might want to set it at this, and before I go to bed, that I might want to set it for a certain interval, and then you can say how long you want it and what strength, and which I found really fascinating, whether it's for adults or for kids. But so if people are watching this, Dr. Saren, and they want to try touch points, where can they go to get these?
They can go online to ilovetouchpoints.com and order them directly from our website.
And you got a lot of buzz, and I meant that both
Literally and figuratively.
Literally and figuratively. You got a lot of buzz about it because people are interested and wanting to try. Is there a place where you have kiosks or something where people can go and give them a try?
We do set up pop-up shops from time to time, and those are announced on our Facebook page. We may be doing one February 20th in Arizona for people who would like to try them out.
Okay.
And then we post on our website and also our social media events that we'll be going to where people can meet me and talk to me or try the touch points out. And I want to say one thing about the moms. Can I just talk to the moms?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay.
Address the moms
Don't
directly.
don't forget about yourself. You know, if you have a child that has a diagnosis on the spectrum, you have stress.
Right.
And so don't leave yourself out of the equation as you're juggling all the things in your life. Make sure that you're using touch points for yourself and taking really good care of yourself, because my guess is you're the glue that holds everything together.
That's
I
right.
think that's amen to that. We
Yeah.
stood there. I gotta say too, there were a lot of you and I stood there yesterday, and we were trying to figure out, did we want to try these on Wyatt first? Did
Right.
we want to try them on Jem first? On you first? On me first? And your first, because it's always about the objections, right? Your first thing was, I don't know if I can get Wyatt to wear them,
Right,
right?
right.
My thing was, there were wristbands, and I was like, oh, I'm allergic to nickel. Are they nickel-free wristbands, right? But then I read on the pamphlet that it could lower stress by 71% in 30 seconds, and I went, yeah,
I'll do
I'm
it.
trying them.
Yeah.
I was like, I've been told this week that I have to get my blood pressure down. I'm the first person up for these. But we want to have everybody try them. But as we were going through it, the fact that I could hold them in my hands, I don't have to wear the
Right,
wristbands. Doesn't
right.
matter whether the wristbands are nickel free or not. The fact that you could, you were saying, I don't think I can get Wyatt to wear wristbands,
Right.
but you could put these in his pockets. I love the fact that you don't have to actually have skin touching them. So you can put them on the sides of pants, you can put them in the pockets, you can put them in the socks. But the key is that you got to have them on either side. There are
Okay.
just a lot of things about this that are really
So they
cool
don't
and
have to be
flexible.
do they have to be in touch with the skin? They do.
They don't.
They don't.
No, nope,
Just on either side of the body, each one.
right.
Isn't that
You know,
cool?
if we were, what's that?
I said, isn't that cool?
I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think
we're
it's
not
cool.
admitting anything. There's nothing invasive about this. It has to do with the way your brain processes information and makes the decision about its stress response. And we can't interfere with that without touching the skin.
Okay.
And of course we want to know how, but I think that's the secret sauce, right?
Well, I can tell you some hypotheses. There's a network
Okay.
in the brain called the salience network, and this is what's integrating sensory information and kicking off the stress response. The stress response is like a light switch, and it goes off and on very quickly. That's why we can override it very quickly. And the salience network, in very interesting, is actually one of the networks that if we look at it on an EEG, now we think we can actually diagnose or look at features of autism based on how that network is functioning.
This is fascinating stuff. Neuroscience. Well, really cool
And
stuff.
once again, how do people get them?
People can go to our website. It's ilovetouchpoints.com.
Okay, very cool. Well, thank you,
All right,
Doctor.
thank you, Dr.
We're going to play a
Sharon, for
bunch
joining
more
us.
with these and try them out on
Yes,
different people,
right.
but I had an immediate, like, whoosh.
And do you still feel the effects?
I mean, I feel better than I felt all week. So
Okay.
there you go.
Well,
And
it's a powerful
that's
testimony.
typical. That's actually a typical response. We actually have a blood pressure study going on right now, and we're seeing a real drop in systolic blood pressure and also resting heart rate. So if that's what the doctor told you to do, test your blood pressure pre and post touch points and see what the difference is, because
gonna
using
do
those over time might be one of the things that you can do to help out.
Well,
Okay.
that's kind of amazing because Mama does not want to be on blood pressure medicine.
No.
Yeah.
So, no, absolutely love it. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining
Way
us.
wicked cool. Touch
Good
point.
luck with this.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, ladies.
you.
Take care. Bye bye.
Take care.
We're
All
going
right,
to take a little break before
And then-
we come back with
Nancy
Nancy
Silverflight.
from-
Plus, which we have a couple of really fun things that we want to share with our audience.
Right.
I guess I'm just going to go ahead and tease one of them right now. We got named one of the top 10 podcasts about autism earlier this week for the year 2017.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, congratulations to you.
Yeah.
You're a part of this. And this is from Healthline. We were one of the top 10 best podcasts
As
about
well
autism.
you should be.
Well, thank you. We feel like we deserve a spot there,
Right.
and glad and proud to be named. And I want to thank everybody who's been a part, because that's certainly, we're a live show. It's all about the audience and our
Right,
guests. And
right.
so we thank everybody. We're all a part of that. So a very cool thing.
And I want to announce the military run is coming up.
Yes.
The Active Day for Military Families on April 21st, 2018, at the same location that we've had it at. It's at Tecolote Shores Park at Mission Bay in San Diego. And it's our 8th annual One Hope Active Day for Military Families Run and Festival.
We're going to be
And-
talking more about this with our audience and encouraging them to be either runners on the day of or be virtual runners, which
Right.
means you just get together a team and you sit at home and enjoy watching the fact that military families will get grants.
Yes.
Because of the things that you do.
And if you want to register, you can go to acttodayformilitaryfamilies.org/run. That's acttodayformilitaryfamilies.org/run.
There we go. All right, let's take a break, and then we're going to be back with Nancy Silberkite, and she's going to talk with us about the new character in Archie Comics who is on the autism spectrum. It's a girl, you guys. Stick with us.
Potty training is different for every child. A child could come in with absolutely, no control over their bladder, and as long as that's not a medical issue, then we can certainly approach it behaviorally and give them the tools they need to be successful, just like any other skill that we would teach.
Well, we think he's learning to pee on the potty. No big successes yet, and lots of accidents. Here is the laundry from today.
For some of our kids takes, just a couple days. And then for other kids, it can take months and months and months. And then when you're looking at complete independence, it can take years.
Hey, you have to go pee-pee?
There's a lot of different ways to tell if a child is ready. We look for a couple different things. Probably the most important is parents saying, I need this to happen, I'm ready. Second is, a child showing interest in the bathroom, and some of it is simply age. It's time to go ahead and work on this.
What are you doing? Pooping. You're pooping?
You first start with teaching the child what they need to do on the toilet. The basic thing we want is for them to drink as much liquid as possible. It's inevitable that if you drink a bunch of liquid, you're gonna pee.
Help.
No, I can't help you pee. I can hold your hand, but I can't help you pee.
Ultimately, what we want is that, the child, as soon as they're put on the toilet, they urinate. So that's step one. Step two is usually working through the amount of time that they're off of the toilet and making sure that they're not having accidents during the time that they're off. So this is kind of the bladder control stage of things.
So the purpose of the potty log is just to see how long it takes them as soon as they sit on the potty for them to actually urinate, and the amount of time that he's able to hold his urine. And with the log, we're able to visually see how long it takes them each time and if they have accidents or not. He's on a half-hour potty schedule, so if he doesn't go when we take him, then we have to take him in 10 more minutes. So every 10-minute intervals until he does go, and then we reset the clock, and it's 30 minutes again.
Okay, buddy. Okay, last chance to go pee-pees. Do we reset it for 10?
Oh, what does that mean? What does that mean, Jack? It's potty time! We can come play after. Hurry!
What we hope happens in this time is that the kids will learn how to initiate going to the bathroom on their own. This is oftentimes the hardest part of potty training, is because they get so used to somebody telling them when they need to go that they're not really recognizing the signs just in their own body of when they need to go.
Oh, he wet himself.
Uh-oh. Big wet?
Was it a lot? We can reset to half an hour now.
The biggest thing for parents is not to give up. The other big tip, and I think pitfall that a lot of parents fall into, is putting their children back into pull-ups or diapers, especially if they're starting to have accidents. And this is probably the worst thing that you can do. They need to recognize that feeling of fullness in their bladder and take themselves to the bathroom or tell an adult that they need to go to the bathroom.
What do you have to do? You have to put your pee-pee in the potty. Okay, give it a shot. See if you can put it in there. There you go. There you go. You're doing it. Yay, job. Big push for your pee-pee. Big for your pee-pee. Yay! Woo! Yay! Good job. What a big boy. High five, high five, high five, high five, high five, high five, high five.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. Nancy and I want to welcome to the show for the first time Nancy Silberkleit. She is a former teacher who has moved into the boardroom on a very important, iconic thing from all of our childhood, the Archie Comics, where she is a co-CEO. And they have done something really important under her direction. Taken the subject of bullying and brought it to light within the Archie Comics with a very important character who happens to be on the autism spectrum. Her name is Scarlett. First of all, we love the fact that it's a girl,
Yes.
and I know that our self-advocates are jumping up and down and
Right.
shouting and saying, yay, it's a girl. And so we want to talk with Nancy a little bit about the project Kindness Works and Scarlett. But first, Nancy, welcome to the show. We're so thrilled to have you.
Well, thank you, Shannon, and thank you, Nancy. But I always love to say zam, wham, wow to your audience and to both of you for what you're doing. I think, Nancy, you have the foundation Acts Now.
Act
that's
Today.
Exactly,
Autism care and treatment today, right.
Act Today. And then Shannon with, this initiative that, Everyday Autism Miracles. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that was actually, that was a radio show that I did that kind of was sort of the beginnings of autism-live. So, yes. You did your homework, Nancy.
Well, I like to because I was a teacher. So
Yes.
you always have to be prepared. But the the initiatives that both of you have been passionate about really aligns with what I'm about. I'm always just that natural heart of a teacher is always looking to see what can I do to make things better, to give that something that may need something. So coming from the classroom to the boardroom, I have this wonderful passion to utilize graphic literacy. And when Archie Comics speaks, everyone listens. They listen globally. And as we all know, I've been using the term neurodiversity is a global issue.
Yes, talk about that trending term, neurodiversity. That's being used more and more.
Well, that is just something with the launch of the character Scarlett, where I've been speaking to people globally, and it seems that the word that they will email or in conversation is neurodiversity. We have gender diversity. So it seems, and that goes to the issue of being tagged. We all know when one is tagged with something, it usually brings, other adjectives. The sign I have in back of me was a story done in a magazine, an educational magazine, Horizon. And it was a story about how I had no love of reading. And that all stemmed when I had been retained, left back. And that was something that I carried deep inside me, never talked about, never shared, because when you're left back, what does everybody say? Not kind things. So I feel the, people who are in the autistic or, talking about on the spectrum, felt that neurodiversity was maybe a more uplifting, positive name for people who are wired, with that respond to things differently, respond to light, respond to noise differently.
And so tell us about Scarlett. She fits that definition, correct?
Absolutely. And I was pleased Shannon pointed out that Scarlett is a female. But what's more important about Scarlett, there she is. She is very skilled in building. So, bravo to, my writer, Ray Felix, for, putting that in. I don't know if he was really thinking that, but possibly. I have to have a conversation with him. He's been very busy, but there she is. And she's building, and later on, it's mentioned that Scarlett must be building, skyscrapers by now. So that's putting, I feel, a female in an area that usually has been dominated by men.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, because we do have some women that are on the autism spectrum that have these skill areas, just like we have some young men that have skill areas. And I love that you're putting a positive spin on things. We're not just looking at what Scarlett isn't great at, we're looking at what Scarlett can do. Just fabulous, Nancy.
Absolutely. And, utilizing graphic literacy, each panel can open up a huge, story. If we could go back to that image with Scarlett building, I don't think there's any words there. I'm trying to know. Look at that. So here is a panel that can spark conversation. And as we all know, how we engage with one another is a big issue now. And I was pleased with the title. I kept thinking for, a long time, and, even, asking, my partner, John Goldwater, can you think of a title? And then I was very happy that we came up with Kindness Works. So, it's providing a platform to have conversation.
Right.
And how can people get this comic with Scarlett? How can we get to know Scarlett?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because I happen to have another comic book. I've been passionate about many other issues, and one was environment. So I have an environmental story here. And I was wondering, will this comic book get to Abu Dhabi? Will it get to Steamboat, Colorado? And I said, this is such a huge issue with how we treat one another. I want to make sure people get Kindness Works. So I'm having people contact me directly or through PayPal. They go to PayPal, and it's, and they just type in Nancy.ArchieComics with an S @gmail. And people are welcome to email me, and I can, have a conversation with them. So it's, passing that seed, my passion on inclusion, for them to be the ambassadors, to get out there and start the conversation, the awareness that those people who are neurodiverse have a difficult time talking about how they do want to be included. And how much time do we have? Because I'd like to share a little story.
Yes,
We've got time.
you can go ahead. We have plenty of time.
So as a teacher in Paramus, New Jersey, we had a wonderful program with, the autistic population. And when they came to us, practically in diapers, they were, of course, nonverbal. And there were so many of them that later on that blossomed. But I remember this one young man, he was there all the ways up to 4th grade. And he came to me one day and said and expressed how he felt the others were not being kind to him. They were not being nice to him. They were leaving him out. And here he was engaging with these feelings. So as we all know, that has always been within him. Nobody wants to be excluded. It was just for all those years he couldn't express himself. Right. So it's been a very important issue, and I feel that to bring that conversation out, if we're going to talk about, let's have a conversation on inclusion, I don't know if everybody will listen. So offering a comic book to let one engage in those panels and really develop those values on a personal level for themselves, they may be more apt to spread that conversation. So I'm reaching out to people, and they can reach out to me or go to PayPal and become the ambassador for Kindness Works. Get that conversation started.
Wonderful.
What has the reception for the story been like thus far?
It has been global. I've had people contact me from Switzerland, Argentina, London, and it's just been enormous. And, I'm pleased with, the graphics you're showing now. Fernando Ruz was the penciler. Andrew Thomas was the letterer. Biraj Mishra, he is all the ways in New Delhi, India. He did the inking and coloring. So I wanted to be, and Andrew, he's from Canada. So I was, trying to pick a diverse team to, spark that conversation, because this is everywhere. Well, kindness is a big conversation, as I said, and we want to, talk about it.
Once again, tell us how people can contact you.
Through Nancy.ArchieComics and ArchieComics@gmail. So I'll do it again, Nancy.ArchieComics@gmail.com. And they are welcome to go to PayPal.
Okay.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for creating this wonderful character.
Good luck
Nancy.
with Scarlett.
Thank you. And everyone, grow that kind heart and let it keep growing.
Okay, thank you.
Fabulous.
We will.
Thank you, Nancy. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to be back just to finish out the show very quickly. So stick with us.
Are those your eyes? Is that your smile? I've been looking at you forever, yet I never saw you before. Are these your hands?
As a celebrity, whatever that means, you want to do what you can to give back. The way I've always looked at it, if I'm available, I'm going to be there. And when you get there and you see what folks are doing and the lives that they're touching, how can you not want to continue to be a part of it?
And for the first time, I am looking in your eyes.
What can we all do to make a difference? Not only with trying to find a cure, but to help the children and the families that may not have the resources for these kids.
When you're looking back at me, now I understand what...
And none of us are doing enough, but I think that we're doing as much as we possibly can. Because we all live in a society, and the more we can all do to help society, the more it helps all of us.
And for the first time, I am looking in your eyes. And for the first time, I'm seeing who you are. I can't believe how much I see when you're looking back at me. Now I understand what love is. Love is. For the first time.
And we're back. It's an interesting comic book character.
Absolutely, and I'm encouraged because it seems like women in autism are coming more to the forefront.
Right,
In
often
fact,
ignored. And
yes. Tomorrow on the show, Elaine Hall is going to be here, and we think she's going to have at least one person from the Miracle Project that was a cast member of the film that I went to last week that was called Please Stand By. It features Dakota Fanning.
Okay.
My brain just went blank for a moment. Dakota Fanning plays a young 24-year-old girl on the spectrum. And she's living in a group home, and the people in the group home are actors that we know from the Miracle Project.
Okay.
So Elaine Hall was the acting coach on the set, and so she's going to be here with us to talk about that. We went and saw a screening of it last week. It's available right now. It's in limited theaters, but it's available on is it Amazon or Netflix? It's on one of those.
Okay.
Forgive me for not knowing.
Please stand by.
Please stand by. And it's also on demand right now on most of your TVs. If you get on demand, you can order it on demand. I think it's $10, but for the whole family, that's cheaper than going to the movies, right?
Right.
And it's a lovely, beautiful film that anybody would appreciate, and especially if you're a Star Trek fan or love somebody on the spectrum, you should definitely rent it and watch it.
Star Trek as a theme in it?
Well, one of the things in the film, because, a lot of our kids have special interests,
Right.
and she has a very specific special interest in Star Trek, and she writes a script. There's a contest, and the script has to be delivered to a certain place at a certain time on a certain day, and it's kind of her journey with this script about how, because she's going to get it there one way or the other, and you know, a relationship with her sibling.
Yeah.
Because things have changed a lot in their lives. It's a fascinating film, and it's very funny. It's very heartwarming, and you'll see a lot of actors on the spectrum in the film
That are actually used in the
and
movie.
people that we know that have been here on the show. So that's a very fun thing. But you can get it on demand right now. You don't have to wait and go see it in the theater.
Okay.
And I'm sure that they would appreciate the support.